Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Late Night Learning. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Palomba. Now today we're going to be talking about social media marketing. Social media marketing is something you hear about and see everywhere, especially when you talk to professionals, if you're at your internship or if you're at that entry-level job. And so social media marketing is really crucial to understand because it is a vast departure from what we're typically used to in market research. One of the things that makes social media marketing so unique are touch points, data touch points. If we think about traditional market research like surveys, focus groups, in-depth interviews, ethnographies, they still have their value in the marketplace, but with surveys, we ask people what they think. With focus groups, we ask people how they feel. With in-depth interviews, we try to get a sense of a particular consumption journey. With ethnographies, we watch people, which is getting a step closer to perhaps the actual truth rather than asking people to reflect. Although if people know that they're being watched, they may act differently. With social media marketing, you're able to measure exactly how people might feel or react or respond to something. People aren't thinking, well, I may or may not share this advertisement from Dunkin' Donuts with my friends or from Taco Bell with my friends and somebody's watching. We don't really think about that. And so social media marketing, in one sense, allows us to really be at the ground level of a lot of granular data. We're able to measure likes, retweets, shares, actual consumer behavior. Please note that. We're able to measure actual consumer behavior. Everyone who likes a cat video, everyone who shares a piece of information or a meme or a coupon or a cat video or whatever it might be, that's actual consumer behavior. It's different than people saying, yeah, I think I'll watch that or I think I'll buy that. It's a vast departure from that. And it does a world of service for a lot of research firms who are really trying to understand consumer behavior. And so in this lecture, we're going to be getting into different ways of social media marketing, different things companies have done in the past. And we're also going to be looking at Google Analytics. And so with Google Analytics, we're going to be looking at the Google Store. Yes, in fact, Google has a Google Store in which people can purchase shirts, hats, other things that have Google written on it. But Google also allows public access to Google Store information, which is really great for Google Analytics beginners. And so we're going to be using Google Analytics data from the Google Store as we're getting familiar with what social media marketing is. So without further ado, let's get started. So if we're thinking about social media, one thing that we tend to think about first is Twitter uses. We tend to think about what use Twitter may have versus a lot of other kinds of social media. We know with Facebook, we know with Instagram, we know with LinkedIn, each social media program has its own pros and cons. I start with Twitter here because Twitter is transient and ephemeral. It's spur of the moment type stuff, which is really, really good for viral marketing. Additionally, Instagram has also illustrated to be very, very good for different kinds of advertising campaigns. So I was at an LA TV fellowship a few years ago, talking to a few TV executives. And one executive stated that it was good to publicize shows. It was good to publicize shows. So Twitter can be used to create awareness. We also can use Twitter as a way in which to drum up hype. But it may not be a fair measurement of content success. And this is one of the snafus with social media marketing. While there are numerous consumer touch points, we can measure likes, we can measure retweets and shares and posts and follows. Some of this stuff is transient and ephemeral. Now, in some respects, it's good because if you are managing social media during the Video Music Awards for MTV, then yeah, you're not really worried about what people might be saying a week from now. If today is the day of the VMAs, you're worried about what people are saying in the next minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. Fine. So you're trying to have these moments during the show that exist beyond the show, that have longevity, even if it's just for a day or two. But you're looking to drum up hype quickly. Twitter allows us to do this. But that last bullet point about being transient or ephemeral, that's important to note with social media marketing. Remember, there's an unlimited road, path that any social media campaign can go down. It doesn't cost you anymore to post something. And so you really have to think about how many messages you want to put out, who's digesting them, and will it cloud other campaigns that you have going on simultaneously. Let's keep going. So, what makes social media social? We call a lot of different things social media, but we don't really think about why it becomes social. For one, social media allows consumers to coalesce around different messages. So communities can be created, and it transcends location. This is very valuable for marketers. Facebook right now has a series of commercials on television regarding Facebook groups that you can find people to play the kazoo with, rock climb, all of these other hobbies that we really can't track. And I say we really can't track because it benefits Facebook to have people who are in these groups. They're able to collect data about our hobbies. Now let's think about this. People can track when we pay gas, right? Because we slide in a credit card into the gas station pump, and so people know when I'm purchasing gas. Somebody knows when I'm purchasing gas. Somebody knows when I go to the gym. I have to scan in. What people don't know is when I go play basketball. What people don't know is when I go for a run. What people don't know is when I play the saxophone. Through these particular messages, Facebook is attempting to create communities by which it can measure consumer behavior. It's very difficult to measure people rock climbing, but Facebook makes its bread and butter on data agglomeration. When I was fortunate enough to have an interview with Facebook several years back, I saw that there was this need to think about other things that could be measured, other things that could be measured just beyond posts and likes. That Facebook was very interested in measuring other elements of our daily lives. Interest-based communities are very, very valuable. As we know, data is the new oil. This was suggested in a recent Economist magazine article. And so targeting these communities is very, very valuable. Social media has caused us to go from mass media, one giant message for all of us, to one-on-one messaging, to customization. That's the second thing to note about social media marketing. We can customize different messages for different people. We can have individual conversations with our consumers. We can customize storytelling for them. That has never been more available until now. We're able to tell stories. I'm able to connect with someone about Starbucks who might be black and 50 years old and female, and I can still connect with somebody differently who might be 20 years old, Hispanic, and male. I can connect with these two particular people differently. Perhaps it's a message that's targeting their particular sex or their particular race and ethnicity or their age. But I can start thinking about different ways I want to talk to them, even if it is about the same product or same celebration or same discount. I can reach them better. This means that these consumers can have slightly different perceptions about the same brand. I might talk to Hispanics differently than Caucasians. I might talk to techno dads differently than soccer moms or soccer dads. If I have these different communications, everybody's having a different experience with my brand. That's different. That's unique. And so brand management, as a result, could become hairier as a result of all this social media marketing that is currently brewing in industry. Let's keep going. So what's my approach? What can I measure? This is important to consider when we think about social media marketing. We want to think about distancing ourselves from traditional advertisements. Remember, traditional advertisements are meant for mass consumption. What we're interested in is giving consumers a reason to invest in us. That goes for the African American women that I was talking about earlier, and the Hispanic men, and the techno moms, and the soccer dads, or whomever else I might be talking to. I have to give each consumer segment a reason to listen to me. It's good to avoid email blasts or sending messages in bulk. Quite honestly, it's lazy. Unless you have a consumer segment that's really wrapped up in who you are, it's lazy. I still get emails about the Florida Gator bookstore. So I did my PhD at the University of Florida. I'm a Gator, and so as a result of that, it does make sense that I would get these email blasts from the university. Why not? I'm a Gator. I have the affiliation. I love the university, right? So they probably don't really have to fight for my affection as much as other companies. And so it's important to really think about who your consumer segment is if you're going to be doing these email blasts. Impressions. Impressions are important to understand. This is the total number of times a post is displayed. And so if you're posting something and somebody clicks on it, it's an impression. Reach, the total amount of unique people. That's important to note here. And new followers, the total audience change for the select profiles during a date range, So it's important to think about impressions, the total number of times a post is displayed. You want to think about your reach. How many people are you reaching? You could reach 7 billion people. After all, that's about what we have on this planet right now. But you want to think about the unique people that you're reaching. Additionally, with new followers, this will tell you where your brand is gaining traction. Is your brand popular among a particular consumer segment? Where are these new customers coming from? Where are these new followers coming from? These are important questions to ask as you're moving through your social media marketing campaign. Let's keep going. What can I measure here? So you can measure a plethora of different things here. Likes, comments being the number of direct comments to a post, shares, number of direct shares, sessions, who engages with your website. We'll see this in Google Analytics. We can see the amount of sessions per person, and bounce rate. Bounce rate is very important to understand. The percent of people who click on to a website and then leave it. This means there's no engagement. We want a low bounce rate. Please note that. We want a low bounce rate. If your bounce rate is 50% or 60%, you've got a problem. That means 50 to 60% of people who come to your web page, leave it. Or who click on this page, leave it, right? So if you think about websites that are fairly complex like ESPN, we click on ESPN, I always go to the men's college basketball rankings and football rankings. I'm a college sports fanatic. I might click on NCAA men's basketball, fine. So I've typed in ESPN, right? Gone to the page, clicked on NCAA men's basketball. That's my second click. And then I might click on Florida Gators or Syracuse Orange. Okay, so if I'm clicking on those two alma maters, those are 2 more clicks. So I have 4 clicks here. So the question is, when do I leave? If I click on men's basketball and I leave thereafter, well, we're starting to have kind of a narrative painted here, right? Everybody's going to ESPN, including myself. But then if a lot of people leave the NCAA men's basketball page, we've got a problem. Because it means people are going to ESPN, but they're leaving. So very quickly, you can see by following the bounce rate, you can get a sense of consumer journeys. and how to better orchestrate the kinds of messages that you place on your websites. Let's keep going. Your consumer's journey through social media. So we have the buyer's journey, organic content, and boost here. So the buyer's journey, we have awareness. First, you want to create awareness for your particular consumer. You want them to consider product reviews, consider perhaps making a purchase. This goes up to the decision. Share gated content. And then adoption. Reward your customers in advocacy, create a user-generated contest. So, content contest, pardon me. So here, that's kind of the buyer's journey. We're trying to create awareness about who we are on social media. We might offer customer product reviews, share gated content that most people may not know about. And then as a company, as Starbucks, Toyota, Honda, we might reward our customers and even create a user-generated content contest to really create brand evangelism, to really motivate consumers to start talking about our brand. Let's keep going. Social media and representations of brands. Consumer engagement behavior. So if we're thinking about how to engage consumers, there are a few studies that in the academic literature that have really helped explain how to create brand associations and really gain high viral. Let me start that PowerPoint slide over. Pardon me.
Absolutely.
Social media and representation of brands. Consumer engagement behavior is what we are after with social media. Remember, with traditional advertising, we're on the Hollywood Boulevard driving by movie billboards. We're in New York City driving by movie billboards. There is no interaction, right? Or we're sitting in our living rooms and we watch a commercial for Budweiser. There is no interaction here. Social media marketing creates more touch points for interaction. One study found that offering top quality visuals helped reinforce brand associations, spur consumers to share, and provided low effort, high virality behaviors. So the way that something looks, the visualizations that are here really can spur consumers to share and to get excited about a brand. You must control your brand image. This is very important to do on social media because you have other stakeholders. Your stakeholders are your customers. Every customer who purchases something, who follows you, or who may post something now has a modicum, but nevertheless some influence over your brand. And so you need to be a little bit more forceful with how you manage your own brand. Social media marketing allows for marketing via digital applications that allows consumers to obtain the locus of control over the product itself. So you are able to maintain control over your brand, but you need to be mindful of it and you need to constantly watch it. Hootsuite is an excellent program in which you're able to watch your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and any other kinds of social media platforms out there simultaneously during a campaign, during some sort of launch, and you're able to see how people are responding. The closer you watch how consumers respond to your brand, the better you will be at brand management with social media marketing. Let's keep going. Twitter. So these next few slides are going to be getting involved with just kind of breaking down each social media platform. The most popular ones, obviously, they're changing all the time. We know TikTok has gained a lot of traction in the last few years, and so it's important to be mindful of changing behaviors with consumers and who is adopting what kind of social media platform. Vine is no longer with us, unfortunately, but it seems like TikTok has replaced it and replaced it quite well. So with Twitter, usually there's about 330 million monthly active users, 1.3 billion accounts. So right there, that should tell you that there's an issue with Twitter. There are a lot more people that have accounts than those who use accounts, which is fairly typical, but nevertheless, to have only about a third using your platform is troubling. And so Twitter has had to really consider different ways in which to boost up its engagement. 44 million have tweeted, and so 500 million visits without logging in. 80% of active users access site via mobile device. Katy Perry currently has the most amount of followers at 108 million. 25% are journalist accounts. Twitter has become quite popular in spurring journalists to use its platform because it allows for rapidly disseminating news. And so 23 million are bots, roughly speaking. And so on Twitter, there are bots. Bots are used to, potentially artificially lift the amount of likes or posts or what have you that somebody may have. Yes, there is practice with people paying companies to create bots to boost up likes and retweets and other things like that. 500 million tweets every day, 6,000 per second. Let's keep going. Examples of Twitter storytelling. So storytelling is really, really important here. We can have a tweet storm. A tweet storm is just sending multiple tweets that are pieced together through kind of a larger thought, if you will. So we've had people in the past tweet back and forth or tweet multiple tweets at once, kind of telling us a story as it moves along. There's also something called Twitter Moments, in which you can place together tweets into a multimedia PowerPoint-like story. They did this with Mayweather and Pacquiao when there was the fight a few years back. And so you're able to attach multiple photos to the tweet itself. Let's keep going. Instagram. So Instagram is an excellent platform for photos, needless to say. If you are not familiar with Instagram, it is wonderful. 7 out of 10 hashtags are branded. And so a lot of the hashtags that are out there are brands. And so it's very, very good for a lot of brand managers to really leverage the power of Instagram, to give their brand a voice, to allow their brands to connect with people. 71% of businesses use Instagram. 80% of users follow a business on Instagram. Instagram mobile ad revenue was nearly at $7 billion in 2018. So a lot of people like following businesses on Instagram. Instagram is a way to really spur creativity and to really allow businesses to be more human. And so humanistic qualities might seep out of an Instagram page. You might say to yourself, yeah, well, that's just kind of a financial bank. What are they going to be saying that I would be interested in for that matter? But the truth of the matter is that would allow said bank to be more human in nature. And so a lot of financial firms have been able to take advantage of this. They've been able to really push their own identity as they move along. Let's keep going. Examples of Instagram storytelling. So telling a visual story with your product is a hallmark of Instagram. So this was done by Herschel Supply Company. There were multiple posts of each square here, and it allowed for the cultivation of user-generated content as well. So people were asked to kind of solve this puzzle, if you will, and so obviously it was one of their products, but it was a great way to kind of engage people along and to give them a reason to subscribe to and follow Herschel Supply. Let's keep going. LinkedIn. All of you should have a LinkedIn page if you don't already. I cannot push LinkedIn hard enough. The Facebook interview that I had was from being recruited on LinkedIn. That is a true story. I kid you not. I was flown out to San Francisco for the final interview, but I did not get the position itself. But everything went well, and they were still happy with me. But more importantly, you don't know who's looking at you. I cannot stress this enough. You don't know who's looking at you. And so all of you who are listening to this better have a good LinkedIn page. There is no way that I thought that I would be recruited and flown out to San Francisco on their dime by Facebook. You don't know who's looking at you on LinkedIn. And that's exactly how Facebook found me, on LinkedIn. It's a professional business website. It allows you to showcase your own projects and portfolio. It's an excellent way to reach out to partners for your transmedia project, your websites, anything that you've developed, quite honestly. There are people that may have different expertise than you, And so it's a really great way to broaden your network, the people who very well may hire you, the people you may very well work side by side with. So for all of these reasons, it's critical that you become familiar with LinkedIn. Let's keep going. Examples of LinkedIn storytelling. During their runs, especially with Mad Men, it still might be up. Don Draper had a LinkedIn page. Same thing goes for Charles Xavier of X-Men. LinkedIn can be used as a way to tell stories. And so it wouldn't be a shock to me if Mr. Peanut, or really now Baby Nut, as Mr. Peanut has been rebirthed into Baby Nut, would have a LinkedIn profile page. I mean, that would give it an air of sophistication, an air of seriousness, and focus for that matter. So good storytelling can transpire on LinkedIn. Let's keep going. Facebook. Facebook is a terrific site for posting photos as well as building a community. Facebook is about community. I think more so than anything else, Facebook is about community. Facebook is about memories. So it has over 2 billion monthly active users. Remember, Twitter was about 330 million, and it did have 1.3 billion profiles, but only about 330 million were active. Just to give you a sense of how big and powerful and ubiquitous Facebook is. It has about 2 billion daily active users. Its biggest demographic is 18 to 29-year-olds, 65 plus is least. It's a good demographic to reach. They have increasingly more and more disposable income as they age and little brand loyalty. And so this is a current issue with 18 to 29-year-olds. They don't really possess the kind of brand loyalty that previous demos in that age group have toward companies. And so there's been a real push to better understand millennials and Gen Z as they age and as they become mothers and fathers, or at least adults, to gain a sense of what it might take for them to cultivate brand loyalty. This means that they're likely to open to trying new things, including your own brand. And so, again, it's an opportunity to create visual aids, photos, voices, live chats, anything that you can do, again, to reach people. Because after all, people are people. We like laughing and crying and debating and talking, and it's very difficult to do that with traditional advertisements. Social media marketing allows for the humanization of a brand. Let's keep going. Storytelling on Facebook. Humans of New York Facebook page. And so pages really do allow for us to talk about different topics, different things that we might be thinking of, different books that we might be fans of, for that matter. So Facebook albums and pages help encapsulate experiences. And you can even go live on Facebook chat and talk about a plethora of different topics. And so when we're thinking about social media marketing, there's a lot of complexity here. For one, it's difficult to know who your audience may be because audiences are moving targets. Additionally, it's important to think about, what do I want to say about my brand? How should my brand talk to my consumers? If we follow the Twitter pages of Taco Bell and Wendy's and a few other brands, they're quite funny, actually. I think Taco Bell might be the funniest company handle or Twitter handle, for that matter, that I've ever seen. It's really, really funny, very sharp, very witty. Wendy's is like that as well. And so it's really, really crucial and important to think about, do I want people laughing? Do I want to be serious? Do I want to be sexy? What do I want to be? And how do I want to voice that to my consumers on a daily basis? Well, that's all the time we have on Late Night Learning. As always, keep laughing and keep learning.